after your WCW and WWE runs, you talked about, your positive outlook on life. Not only did you leave wrestling and become a chiropractor, you're now Dr. Shawn Stasiak, but you've also become a motivational speaker, and you've used the character phobia, which you mentioned earlier in the interview. How much fulfillment have you found now doing these new things outside of wrestling and being able to use your brain much in the same way you used your body when you were in the ring?
That's an interesting question, Ryan. It's really it's a two sides of that, really. I've had fulfillment in the sense that I've made a difference in a lot of people's lives, over the years through my chiropractic. I have good hands. I'm a good adjuster. I've educated people on, nutrition and fitness and just that wellness lifestyle. So I know that when I get an email, I'm much more fulfilled when I get emails, let's say, from people that say, hey, Dr. Shawn, I heard you speak on that interview or podcast, or you posted something online or whatever it was, and it influenced them to help them make a breakthrough in their life, in a health-related issue or fitness. I've lost 50 pounds, or my blood work came back so improved, and my cholesterol this, or, diabetes, I'm no longer type 2. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I get that because they say because of your influence, that's a very rewarding thing, or I've inspired them to go after a dream or a goal or a career path. You know what I mean? Like, anything that I have said or led by example or influence anybody to make any kind of personal breakthrough is the most fulfilling thing to me. More so than when, I get, hey, you're one of my favorite wrestlers, or
yeah.
I am, really? I didn't know I even had a fan. Wow, that's awesome. But,
well, man, hey, man, you've been an inspiration to me just in the years that I've known you. You've always inspired me. Every time I get off the phone with you, it's like I've got an adrenaline rush. I want to go out and lift some weights or run a mile.
That's great, man. I don't know where it comes from, man, because I even surprised myself. I'm like, man, I start getting these, these, like, even with this interview right now, I know you're recording this to upload for an episode and all that, but I drag myself, some days are harder than others, and I'm like, God, and then I get off these interviews or speaking events, and I'm just all full of energy. It's almost like it comes from like a divine thing, like a spiritual, like it's working through me or something, and I'm like, man, where are you all the time? Because, I can use more of that. But that's the most rewarding thing to me. That's why I have found that, look, I'm a performer, I'm an entertainer at the core, but I learned, quite a few years ago that I wouldn't want to just be an entertainer. I wouldn't be fulfilled then, because there were some years there that I wanted to make a return back to WWE, because I felt like I needed to redeem myself because I was so unsatisfied with the way that my career turned out. And then over the years, and I won't get into too much personal things, I just put it this way, I've just never felt welcome back, to WWE. And for some reason, I guess I'm just not part of the WWE family, it's just not, I'm not the alumni or whatever that is, but, I still think, I guess I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I guess I think, Vince for allowing me to at least have my experience, and I had a platform that I was able to have some experience on. I just, really wish that whoever was in his ears or whatever perception was, because, it's all about perception and what their experiences were of somebody that's going to dictate whether they would want to bring someone back or work with that person. I don't know what happened there, but I just never was really welcomed back, and honestly, just the way that they, had put my dad in the Hall of Fame was very hurtful to me.
Yes.
Because I anticipated that for years, that they would call upon me, his only son, at least that I know of. Maybe I got some half-brother, I don't know, maybe I got some sibling somewhere. Anyway, there is actually a guy that looks a lot like me, and I guess he goes by Stasiak or something. I don't know if it's a gimmick or what it is, but anyway, my point is that I was just broken. In fact, it's ironic. I'm sitting here talking to you in the parking lot of LA Fitness. I'm not in the exact parking spot, but this is interesting that we're even talking right now about this, because I was parked just down a ways here to my right, where I was in that park, and I drive by there all the time, and I remember that's when I first learned they were putting my dad in the Hall of Fame through Twitter. And I I was like, no, like because I had a phone call. I wasn't invited to even the arena to even be in there to pay my respects, let alone like just I was expecting a phone call like, hey, we want to put your dad in. We want you to induct him. Like, I anticipated this for years. So when they went about it the way they did, it was just very, to me, it was very, very disheartening. And, to them, or they probably weren't thinking twice about it. It's amazing, though, how you can make a decision or do something and how it can affect somebody. And, of course, I connected with Vince through a text. I said, I asked him not to do that. If you're going to do it, can you do it right, man? Like, I think, and by the way, he's the only WWE, or back then was WWF champion, same promotion, WWE. The only WWE champion that got put in the Hall of Fame that never got a personal induction was just thrown in some wing.
I remember that day. I remember the day, and I was sitting next to my wife, and that was when you and I were staying in pretty much almost constant contact at the time. And I remember when they flashed the vignette on the screen, I looked at her and I said, my phone's going to ring in the next few minutes. And sure enough, it did, and it was you, because I knew you were hot about that.
Yeah, I was pissed, man. I was really pissed off and hurt at the same time, because that was like the icing on the cake. I said, this company doesn't give a shit about me or my family. That's how I took it. And of course Vince texted me and said, it's nothing personal, it's just a company decision. Okay, whatever. It just made me feel like, man, we're just very disregarded for whatever reason. I don't know, what I did or said or what had happened to not be treated a little nicer, like when they were here in Dallas for the big WrestleMania. I forget which year that was. I think it was 2016, maybe. I don't know. They were here, and not a phone call, nothing like that. You'd think, and I don't want to toot my own horn or nothing, but, even that red carpet thing they do with the Hall of Fame, I mean, I don't know. I've kept a pretty clean life. You don't read about me in the paper or anything bad. I'm not you don't hear about me. I don't make the headlines in a negative way. You think that maybe, I would have thought they would have embraced that. Hey, he's one of us. He went on to become, he did something else besides wrestling. And I think if anything, it would lend some credibility to their roster that, hey, man, we got people that went out and became a health professional. Who's a speaker, who's a positive influence. But no, they don't care, man. Like, I don't know what it is. And I don't want to sound like I'm bitching and complaining. It's just the truth, man. It was very hurtful. But I will tell you this, Ryan. It's interesting. I had this conversation with someone yesterday who's been around the business for years, and I still have I'm professional enough, because when it happened with the Hall of Fame thing, I said, that's it. There's no, because periodically I would throw a text out or make a phone call and say, hey, I got this idea. I'm just throwing it out there. Let me know what you think. Because there's no part of me that thought, the business was right and they valued me enough and thought this could draw some ratings and make some money, right? That's what this business is about. It's a
Absolutely.
business. Entertain the fans, tell some cool stories, that's what it's all about. This is a win-win for everybody. And, but when that WWE Hall of Fame thing happened, I said, F this, man, that's it. I'll never reach out to them ever again. And then I don't know what it was. I think a couple years went by, and then I just started thinking, and I've heard more and more stories from other talent and their experiences. I said, well, Shawn, you're not the only one that you have felt, crapped on.
Yeah, disrespected in a lot of ways.
Disrespected, disregarded, just for whatever reason, didn't quite cut it as to whatever that fits in their world, whatever that is, right?